Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series Europe Challenger Edition. I'm Nathanius, joined by the one and only Fear Dargan, as we make our way into Group C for cucumbers, because if you pickle them, they become pickles, Fear Dragon. Did you know that?
I did not, but actually, yeah, I did, but you know.
I don't know if that's true, but I said it confidently, so you believe me.
Yeah, you know, I wasn't 100% sure, but now I'm sold. I'm sold on it.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a jury, I'm off scot-free. So we are getting into our second week of Challenger. Of course, we've had some great matches so far, but just to quickly get y'all up to speed on how this works, of course, it is Challenger. We had 16 players qualify for groups of 4. Top 2 get out. Bottom 2, well, they lose. And then we have an 8-player bracket that will face off in the Thunderdome to see who gets those top 4 spots, which include seeds, not only prize money and WCS points, of course, but seeds to WCS Summer, which is it's coming up. It's creeping up on us. So
just a few weeks or something right now, right?
Yeah, just your rearview mirror. It's going to be, you know, objects are larger than they appear, right? Or closer than they appear, however it works.
Yeah, it's definitely coming up really, really soon at this point. So all the players are practicing, preparing for that. And we'll see how good of a shape they're in.
Yeah, your life's a lot easier if you finish well in terms of seeding. But of course, as we talked about it, there is prize money on the line for each region. We've got Europe and America going on today. That first place, $1,600 is nice. You know what else is nice, Fear Dragon? Not having StarCraft Reddit and Team Liquid discuss whether you have to win 40 games in a row to qualify for the global finals. So you should probably try to just get those extra points in now. So every placement position counts in a really big way, because as we've seen every year, there's always someone that's like, I can't believe my favorite player didn't make it in. I'm like, well, he didn't get out of his WCS group for some reason. Maybe those 60, 80 points could have been the difference maker.
Yeah, I mean, when you've had WCS events where players like Showtime or Laser get knocked out in like a group stage 2 or something, you're like, oh, these are like some of the best players in Europe, and they didn't make it to group stage 3. You know that those groups are stacked, and you know you really want to be able to get those seeds.
Yep. We talk about it. You know, we're like, oh yeah, Challenger's not it's our online thing. It's our warm-up for some of the events. But when you see upsets happen here, and then you ask yourself at the end of the year, where's my favorite player? These are the brackets you're going to be looking at. And we do, of course, have a couple more shows coming up. So we were live last weekend. We're going to be here today and tomorrow. And then we will be back next weekend, where we are going to be going through those brackets for the Europe Finals next Saturday, and then the America Finals next Sunday. The hours of those shows are usually a little bit different from this. And we start earlier for the European one and a little bit later for America. So your schedule will change. Keep up to date, of course, with the StarCraft esports account on Twitter, as well as everywhere else. StarCraft community is pretty good about getting information out for your Dragon.
There's a lot of places to find all the times for broadcasts and everything.
Yeah.
Like, you can find it pretty easily across any community website.
We're good at that. So, and of course, there's also lots of other awesome StarCraft stuff. I think GSL finals are going to be next week.
I think Kings of the North finals are actually happening after this broadcast as well. That's over on the ES Champ channel.
Yeah. And, probably 24-hour to Muslim stream getting stuck in there somewhere as well. StarCraft really never stops here. But today we go into Group C. And for Europe, it's going to be an interesting discussion, right? I'll just get it out of the way. It starts with the contest for second place.
Yeah.
Serral is in this group. He's going up against Lambone and ZvP to start things off. Then we're going to have a Terran versus Protoss, because we just want to get all of your guys' blood boiling at the start of the day. Clem versus Strange. I think that'll be a really good one. Strange, I think, he's most famous for that ridiculously long game that he drawed or almost drawed with Polt like 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, man, I remember that now, yeah.
It's like things that frustrate people. There's like Terran versus Protoss, and then there's Tasteless having to cast on the B stream, and then it's Tasteless casting a draw between foreigners on the B stream. And, so you probably remember that specific game from him. So we're going to be seeing him play again. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and he actually lives up to his name a little bit. Strange in the past has traditionally had not exactly crazy Strange builds. He's not just like a Haas or anything, but he is willing to kind of go a little bit off the beaten path. He goes a little bit off
Strange
meta.
isn't crazy Strange. He's just, you can be Strange without being over the line. So we'll see if he brings out anything absurd, as it were. Did we have the graphic wrong? Because this lobby is Strange and Seral.
Yeah, it's Strange and Seral.
Okay.
Wait, that's what you said, though.
No, I thought the graphic said ZvZ. Seral Lambo is what it says here. Maybe.
That
maybe
graphic.
something happened. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we just got pulled into Earth 2, and it's actually this matchup on Earth 2, and I don't know.
Well, Lambo's just feeling so confident in his play right now that he's like, you know what? I'm pretty sure I'm gonna beat Clem anyway. So let's just skip to the winners match.
One of the other casters in our lobby chat just mistook Strange for Rail. So
Okay, that's pretty funny.
I just figured y'all should know that. I won't expose who said that, but just since the game hasn't
Why
started
are you
yet, I'm
playing?
trying
I thought
to
you
give
couldn't get.
something.
I thought you couldn't go to WCS Summer.
Trying to commentate something. So if this PVZ starts, then I guess everything I understood about the world and reality is
Rail's
wrong.
playing Warcraft 3 now, isn't he?
Who isn't though, right? You know what I'm saying?
I haven't seen a Roddy stream playing Warcraft 3 for a while.
Well, that game is so slow. He's actually playing it while he plays StarCraft. So it's pretty easy, you know.
Oh, amazing.
He's also got a paused instance of They Are Billions going on there sometimes. Three boxes, 3 boxes at once. So we've got a lobby up. I guess we'll be getting into this soon.
Yeah.
I'm slightly confused.
Yeah, we kind of already talked about this. Obviously, if you don't know Serral, I don't know what rock you've been under. Serral is an absolute legend, and he is expected to get first place in this group. Probably the people that, or the person in this group that could maybe have a chance against Serral is going to be Lambo. But the one thing I do want to actually commend Strange on is he actually had a pretty good run through the qualifier to make it here. He beat players like Nurchio and sort of and stuff when we're talking about Zerg players. And Nurchio, while in the past, I think, he had a rocky like 4 or 5 months, I would say. But the last month or two of Nurchio has been really, really solid.
Okay.
So I think that Strange is in good shape. Do I think he's going to beat Serral here? No. But do I think maybe he can actually like take a map or something off of Lambo and maybe make a bit of an upset?
Second place.
I think it's possible.
Second place is wide open,
Yeah.
for sure. I think this current metagame has been getting more increasingly difficult for Zerg players, especially since everyone's kind of like gotten really good with their timings for either.
Do you think we might see a Warp Prism
to avoid late game? Yeah, I was like either trying to avoid late game versus Zerg, and I think Terran's actually just in a pretty strong position versus Zerg at the moment. So I think since I would normally favor Lambo, that just makes this for a very exciting one. So the match is ready, so it looks like we're going to get into it soon, whenever they're ready to go. And yeah, the graphic was wrong, so it's actually Strange versus Serral. The reality of it is I actually I used the Reality Stone to save us from a ZvZ to start. It's in my contract that I can't cast ZvZ on WCS anymore, so you guys can thank me. I'm Nathanias TV on Twitter. We are getting into it, and yeah, okay. The countdown is starting.
Looks like our first map is going to be Acropolis. Is the countdown starting though, Nate? Is it though?
I thought it was about to start. Sometimes they wait for us to be ready, and I'm like, I'm always ready. Just start the game as soon as humanly possible. But if we were ever actually waiting for me, that would be the worst, because the thing we always tell people in chat is like, please stop talking, just start the game. I'm like, well, no, it's not us. We're just actually, players have to be ready to go.
So here's what's funny is that I remember like being a community caster back in like 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago. Korean players were notorious for starting the game without the commentators.
Oh yeah.
But these days, the Koreans are actually so nice that they won't go until the casters say ready. I'm like, but just you don't have to. As long as I'm in the lobby, we're good. Just go.
It's the circle of life. They realize that if people watch the games, then that people being able to see them makes them support them. Then
they're super considerate.
Then we have more tournaments and whatnot. It's kind of weird how that works. We are loaded in to Acropolis to start off our first match. You're watching the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series. In the top left, we have our red Zerg player, the reigning world champion. He's Serral.
And down in the bottom right, we have our blue Protoss player looking to make a bit of a splash. He is Strange. Team Blazer.
Okay,
Still a young guy.
I know that you have a good pulse on the community, as much as sometimes better than I try to have. And I have to ask, did you see the incredibly adorable SC Reddit post about microing your workers, and it was all corgi puppies?
Yes, that was great.
One of the greatest things I've ever seen. But I have an even harder question to ask you. Would you say that that is a high-quality meme? Or...
Oh, my God. So, I feel like there's a meme revolution right now in the StarCraft community.
Thank
you, John. Thank you, John, for starting the meme. revolution.
There's been some good quality content coming out of the StarCraft community lately.
Now, they're not high quality memes, but you know, there's some good quality memes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been nice. It's been nice. That particular one, as a lover of doggos, just seeing that.
Well,
if you guys haven't seen that one, I would 100%.
The other great one that I've really enjoyed, which is relevant to this match, is the one where Serral is like putting, it's like the little golf putt, and it just has like above it all of the posts or the tweets from like pro players who are struggling in a matchup or something, oftentimes versus Protoss, and there's just Serral is just like, here is my another $100,000.
Yeah. And you know, we talk about how good Serral is and all of that, and I've always tried to bring this up over the course of the last year because the one or two conversations I got to have with him about his practice and everything were a lot about the stuff that he does other than just grinding StarCraft. Because obviously if you want to be a competitor, if you want to be good, you have to play a lot, you have to put the time in. But the mental health aspect of professional gaming and esports in general is a really nuanced topic because the industry is so young. But it seems to me that one of the biggest strengths of his routine is the time that he makes for himself.
He doesn't burn out.
Yeah, to avoid the burnout. And I think that that's a really key aspect of consistency because you can really grind and you can put in insane hours and you can get really mechanically skilled. But then I think you become a little bit more vulnerable to exhaustion or tilt. Yeah. And that's... I mean,
we kind of saw that a little bit with Neeb. I know he's talked about it a tiny bit, but he did burn out like kind of during his big heyday around BlizzCon time, and I know that's kind of what he says hurt his chances. But
so the Adept opener goes in and immediately dies, gets one drone kill.
Yeah.
And so we had the Stargate opening coming in before the Warp Gate. There was another Adept that was being made. We had the Stalker to kind of push anything back at home, but very awkward start here for Strange. Going in against Serral, losing the Adept really fast. You kind of make yourself vulnerable. But the Phoenix follow-up is going to be able to help claim some of the Overlords. And we'll see what he can get done. I think Serral pretty aware of everything that's going on here, though. Might see these gases get taken in the natural, too.
Yeah, the Overlord speed really helps just get a full scout on everything. And not only that, if Serral's careful with that Overlord in the bottom left, I don't think he's going to be losing too many Overlords. It might just be that singular one. And he should, of course, have all the defenses up that he needs to help deal with any of the Phoenix follow-ups over here.
Phoenix is on the hunt. Is he going to see the Overlord? So far, he misses it on the southwest.
Yeah, so the funny thing is that Overlord that's now retreating back home that he's just barely missing is actually the one that scouted the Stargate, but it seemed like he darted away again. This is the second time this Overlord got away.
It's the little things, because usually if you're going to send two Overlords out versus a Protoss who goes Stargate, you kind of expect that you're going to lose both. It's nice if you can save it, but you don't go into it thinking, oh my god, if I lose a second Overlord, I'm in trouble, because that's just, you know, you expect it to happen. So the Phoenix are going to be out on the map, as we generally expect them to try and poke and prod. The nice thing about, of course, Phoenix, scouting information is really easy, and you can do harass, so it's going to be able to serve both of those roles. Some sentries made back home, robotics facility, forge, and seems a rather straightforward start. Serral's just droning up, getting his lair, Roach Warren, nothing crazy going on his side of the field either.
Yeah, very old school style PVZ so far with Stargate and Robo and everything. The Phoenix are going to come forward, try and pick up a queen. There's some transfuses coming out. Nothing really lost so far for Serral, and even transfuses back to full hit points.
I'm interested to see what else. So the Twilight Council, I was wondering if we were going to see that come in, but it's just the +1 attack and the Immortal coming in.
Oh, he sees all the sentries as well, so I think that Serral should have a really good idea of exactly what the follow-up is. He also sees that the Stargate's idle and that the Phoenix production is pretty much halting for now.
I think the lack of a Twilight Council says a lot about what Strange's plan is, because the Overlord's like, well, okay, well, you built sentries, so it's not crazy likely that it's just a Warp Prism with a couple of Immortals. The sentries, this many, will have a good amount of force fields available if he wants to push with a Prism after 2. But he does bring the probe to start the third. And he actually starts Robotics Bay. Okay. So, I was starting, in my mind, I was like, well, with no Twilight, it seemed like he was just going to get 2 Immortals and a Prism. And he could still do that with this third. This third could be bait.
Yeah, Serral, I think, has also just kind of been playing a little bit on the safer side. He hasn't really gone for a fast 4th base or anything during all of this. He's just been making a couple of roaches. He's been staying at a relatively okay worker count. But now that he sees the 3rd base, he's like, okay, time to drone up some more, time to get up my Hydra Den, time to start getting up that +1 weapons upgrade I've been putting off, and there's the 4th base. He knows that he's not, or at least he feels he's not facing off against a big 2-base all-in anymore.
You know, so, and that's really important to keep in mind, of course, as we see so much aggression. Loses one of the Phoenix there. Oof, ouch, owie, my bones. Overseer with speed. That speed upgrade ends up being even more valuable as you make that secondary scout transition. The Overseer gets a really good read, sees literally everything inside of Strange's bases. He's getting a Lurker Den coming in, +1 attack. And if you're Serral, I mean, you're showing up for another day at the office, right? You just want to play cool, calm, methodically. I can see him going for like some sort of cheddar in maybe game 2, but I like that he's starting things off without trying to do anything nuts, because
he doesn't have to.
Yeah, he doesn't have to, and I think people have the magnifying glass up to every single thing that he does, right?
And that's the funny thing too about Serral, is that people have the magnifying glass and they're trying to study everything he does, but it doesn't really seem like it's actually letting them beat Serral anyways.
Well, at some
it's
point
like
you just realize that's like Serral's just like too chill. That's the best thing. His decision making is really good because he keeps a cool head.
Yeah. So Hive Tech getting started up as well with Infestation Pit done. And, I mean, if you think about it, Strange is effectively, he had a little bit of the Phoenix harassment, some mild harassment killing off an Overlord or so, maybe killing off like 1 or 2 units. But ever since then, in that 1 Adept, Strange has not had any pressure on the map. Serral has just been teching up like a madman. He's going to have his Lurker Den done in a second. He's going to have his 5th base on the way. He's going to have his Hive nearly done. And he's also starting up his 2-1 upgrades.
Yeah.
He is looking so strong for this mid-game stage.
Fear Dragon, do you think it's disrespectful for Strange to say to Serral that he's just going to play him in a straight-up macro game? This is kind of a joke question, by the way. You don't have to answer seriously.
Yeah, I know. It's tough, though, because I feel like, you know, the obvious answer is let me try a cheese versus Serral, but that so rarely also works. And Serral actually, he was giving respect to like the idea that Strange could go for a big attack, I think, right? He didn't drone up super crazy quickly. He was scouting with Overlord's speed and everything. He was playing safe, so Strange trying to take advantage of that kind of makes sense, maybe?
Yeah. The Forge doesn't always lean to the fast attacks, but the lack of the Twilight early on definitely made it seem like it could be a thing. Completely walled this area off. Interesting choice. So he's kind of funneling all of his own production towards the north side, and this does buy him a little bit of time to help stall against this, but now he's being besieged by Lurkers. I think there was a little bit of an attack on the top side that just got cleaned up, so the rest of the army will be coming down.
Careful with the Observer. Okay, the Observer does get pulled back. I was going to say the Overseer's there.
Siege that Observer. And he drops 4 roaches inside of the main base, so we got probes going down. And this is classic Serral, right? He can't exactly break this position that easily. The Colossi are actually really good versus the Lurkers in this position because they can hit them from afar, but the rest of the ground army is getting completely demolished, so it's just 3 Colossi now with a couple of cannons and batteries trying to hold off against the rest of this assault, but with the Observer still alive, he has the Phoenix. He can lift up some of the Lurkers if he needs to. He got rid of the Overlord, but 13 probes died while Serral is making this attack. And it's not going to get any easier because we have the Hive done. So Adaptive Talons that gives the Lurkers that instant burrow is on the way too.
Yeah, and he's about to even up the upgrades as well with +2 missile attack finishing up. I mean, it's easier said than done, but I would have loved if he had been able to use the Phoenix to pick up the roaches that were on the counter attack. But I mean, there is a lot going on over here for Strange.
Really
now he's cut off from his 4th base. He could not afford to lose his 4th base, considering Serral's happily mining on 5.
Yeah, he did a really good job of cutting off the base, exactly like you said. He spreads out his units, and, you know, he doesn't send his whole army to attack that base and open himself to getting, like, force-fielded or pinched in half. He's like, no, I'm going to spread most everything out on the area that you need to go through to get to that base, and then I'll just send, like, a couple roaches and hydras. I don't care if it takes a little while to kill that Nexus.
Oh, poor Strange. He's got the High Templars there, and he might even believe he's researching Storm right now. Okay, no, he's morphing in 1 Archon. He's still got 2 High Templars there. There's no Storm on the way right now.
Maybe he's thinking about Vipers against Colossi.
Yeah, that's possible.
Abduct's really good against Colossi, so feedback is useful in that scenario. But yeah, Storm is also nice to have since there's so many Hydralisks.
Yeah. Well, he's doing the best he can over here, but he's actually getting hit from both sides. The Ling's actually drawing a lot of that Colossus fire away from the Hydras. Is this actually going to be enough for Serral to break it? It looks like he's getting pushed back right now.
Yeah, it's rough, right? Lurkers do so much damage to the Stalkers, so while the Hydras just kind of sit here and whack away, yes, Strange is going to break the siege, but Luca Di Supply. We've got the Stalkers trying to chase, but Serral has a lot of money. He's got a lot of bases. He's taken every base on his half of the map, just about.
Yep.
And his +3 upgrades are coming in. Mind you, the Lurkers are going to be even stronger now, so he's got Adaptive Talons.
Nate,
9 Lurkers being added.
he's going to be on 7 base versus 3. I guess 3.5 because
Yeah.
Strange is retaking his 4th base.
And Strange is not, well, there's not exactly a full set of mineral patches in his main either. So these Lings are going to go around the outside towards the top. There are a ridiculous amount of Lurkers on the map now. She's going up to 12. And these Lings, does he have adrenal glands? No adrenal glands yet. Well, he's only just started +1 attack, so I guess that makes sense. But
It looks like
how
that
could
4th
you?
base will be
How
saved.
could, look, he starts adrenal glands as well. We've got like a 5-minute delay on this stream, and Serral heard me through space and time.
I also want to note that with so many Lurkers, we actually only have 1 Observer, and that Stargate could make an Oracle, but there's no Oracles out on the map or anything right now, so even detection is going to be actually really, really important to keep alive over here.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he's out of position. He's
The
out of
biggest
position.
oofs. Yeah, well, the Lurkers all of a sudden just come up towards the side. Strange, as you just said, completely caught off guard, completely caught out of position, and he's going to have to attack into a ton of Lurkers. It's not going to go well for your Dragon. Things are dying really fast.
It went better than I thought it would, but it's still, there's so many Lurkers here.
The Colossi can be really good at dancing against this with that range and the fact that they can kind of step around where those Lurker attacks are coming
4th
from.
base.
But Serral, in the meanwhile, you're like, oh yeah, he defended the attacks. Like 17 probes died. He's got a bunch of roaches at that 4th base. Again, might be able to just focus that down. Yeah.
GG.
Serral takes game number 1 against Strange. Very well done. And something worth pointing out, you mentioned the single observer. He only had 1 robotics facility for a build that relied on Colossi and Blink Stalkers, which strikes me as a little curious. That, of course, comes down to the Mayhem and Chaos. It's not like he could easily afford to build off of 2 robotics facilities. So there's that. But yeah, if you need to build Colossi to defend against that, you're not building observers. And if you play a game of Protoss versus Zerg, let me tell you, it feels like observers die faster than any. Well, they do die faster than.
They do die. They have very few hit points.
It feels doubly so against Lurkers. You're like, oh yeah, I just got to get it into this one spot. You're like, how much range do Hydras have?
Yeah, man. I feel like you're on the ladder, and it's just like every single Zerg player is like, is that an observer I spy? I think I shall snipe it off.
Oracles are bust versus Lurkers, man.
So it's a bit of a tough game because you also look back at like
Serral.
I know it's Serral.
Also, his opponent is Serral.
But even that build from Strange, like it was one of the later thirds bases you can get. Like he got it close to like 6 minutes or something. So it's not like the super fast 3rd base. The Phoenix opening really didn't do a whole lot. The Adept, I guess, scouts and makes sure that there's no cheeky all-in or something coming by finishing the Shade. But then he loses the Adept for like a single drone. I don't know. It's like it seemed a lot. And Serral seemed like he was also respecting the idea that Strange was maybe thinking about going for a big 2-base all-in. But then Strange doesn't decide to commit to that.
Yeah. Well, Forge says that you want to play a longer game. The Robo follow-up to the Stargate's not crazy unusual, but I guess we've also been conditioned into expecting it to be a big robotics facility playoff of 2 bases with either 1 Immortal and a couple of extra gateway units to hit super fast, or the double Immortal shotgun to just try and juggle micro, kill everything.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of Immortal Sentry attacks and different variations of like what they exactly look like. So Zerg players have been struggling with that, which might also be part of the reason why Serral's insistent on saying like, let's go for Overlord speed, let's not get caught off guard. But we'll see what exactly Strange decides to throw out in game number 2, because I kind of agree with you. It's hard to play Serral in a macro game.
Someone's like, why would Serral let him live so long? I'm like, well, it's probably because he wants to make sure that he doesn't get caught off guard by one of these strategies that's so popular nowadays.
Actually, interesting point is that maybe Strange right now is saying, I'll play Serral in macro games because he's already just thinking about the next match. Serral's super hard. He doesn't want to reveal exactly the variations of all-ins and stuff that he has prepared, maybe for like a player like Lambo later on.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a pretty different matchup, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the nice things that you only have one opponent of each race, and it's all 3 different ones. So for maybe next week, he could be thinking about it, or for WCS Summer, if he's had anything special cooking up in the lab. But do you think... Okay, I have an idea of what he would say in my head, so I want to ask for your thoughts. What would Serral say when he beats someone and he's trying to tell him to get out of the game? If you were Serral, what would you go with?
If someone wasn't leaving,
yeah,
and you,
you're Serral, by the way. In this,
I'm Serral. I don't think he would say anything. He's too respectful, man.
He'd say, "You are finished."
Nice.
Sorry.
Nice meme.
It is. It's 7 a.m. I'm trying to get some of the giggles in.
Serral's had a good time. He had a good interview on Team Liquid with Wax Angel, where I think they talked about golf and Super Smash Brothers.
Nice.
Yeah. I think my favorite part of that interview is that Serral talks about, like, he's like, yeah, you know, these players were actually better than me at Super Smash Brothers. And by the way, I think I have a less than 50% chance versus Showtime and StarCraft 2 and like some other part of the interview. And Showtime immediately tweets, I was like, you didn't list me on the Super Smash Brothers players that are better than you? It's like, all right, Showtime. He literally said that you're probably more likely to beat him in StarCraft, and you're angry that he didn't list you as better at him in Smash?
I think people are fed up with that, though, because Serral's been like every good player that's ever played StarCraft. Other than
I mean, no one
Stefano,
believes him.
Yeah, he just says that. He calls himself bad all the time. Serral's like, I don't think I have a very good chance of winning this tournament. It's like, you won every tournament!
Well, here's the thing. I take Serral's words like that, and I say, okay, you say 50%. I divide it by 5, and I'm like, oh, it's still a compliment.
So it's like the camera adds 10 pounds, but the Serral comment adds like 100 MMR. I don't know. There's something there.
Everything's relative, man.
Yeah. I guess that's
if the
real
camera
takeaway.
adds 10 pounds for everyone, then when you say that someone has a good chance, it's like, oh, well, comparative to everyone else, yeah, you do actually look pretty in shape.
That's true. Serral might be thinking it in his mind is like, well, most people have a 0% chance, but he has 1% chance.
Yeah.
So he's actually so much better than everyone else.
All right, well, the probe does move in there. Scouts at the third base. I mean, we're kind of talking about the fact that Serral could also decide to get a little bit cheeky, but he really doesn't have to. So just going to play it out a standard game so far. And that's overload speed again? Yeah.
Take no chances. Take no chances. There's all the schools of thought about like what makes someone good at StarCraft, what makes a strategy or a build good. And for a lot of people, it's like, oh yeah, well, you know, cutting corners, right? Getting away with stuff. Like, I don't need overlord speed. It's so expensive. How am I supposed to afford overlord speed at the start of the game? Like, it's 50 minerals and 50 gas. But then you look at a player like Serral, and I've always firmly believed this. The players that are this good, maybe if he's playing someone that we would like say is a big contender, like, you know, Neeb in like Ultra Instinct mode, we're like, okay, maybe he has to cut a few more corners to try and make sure that he doesn't get caught off guard or like die to something because he invests too much early on. But when you're the favored player in a matchup like this, I love these choices. Just say, hey, I would so much rather know everything that you're doing than have an extra, you know, couple minerals and gas, because my decision making and control and micro is going to be it's going to be good regardless.
Yeah.
So as long as I know what you're doing, I should be able to deal with it. And of course, we see it's the Stargate. Phoenix is going to kill the Overlord. Evolution Chamber feels actually feels a little bit early. So is he going to go into for a fast +1 attack, or are we going to get maybe one of those melee upgrade rush builds that we don't see a crazy amount of, but they're always very fun because if there's another thing we know about Serral is he's a phenomenal Zergling user. He's great with it. And there it is. Okay, +1 attack.
Good call. Now, he also saw that there was going to be an Oracle following up that Phoenix. So he knows that this game he's going to actually have to worry a little bit about that. It's not just the pure Phoenix production of last game, but we got some more sentries being added on behind this for Strange. I kind of have some idea now what Serral's going to be up to, but Strange, it's up to him, and he is grabbing that third base.
Yeah, Overlord immediately sees it. The other nice benefit of Overlord speed, of course, is that if you can pull a sneaky on him, slip around the outside, that Overlord will be able to go and get the scout if the Phoenix don't catch it. So Oracle's going to come over to the natural, tries to put a stasis ward, and the Queens say no.
Yeah. Focus fires down the stasis ward instead of the Oracle, which means that he doesn't even have to pull off any drones or anything. The Oracle will still get away alive, but nicely done. Phoenix going to be able to snipe off this Overlord, but it's already seen everything. It's seen the Forge, it's seen the Robo, and there's a small little move out here, but let's be real. There's only 3 gateways. There's no reinforcements or anything. This is kind of a fake out.
I would say it's a bit dangerous to do that, too, sometimes, because that +1 melee is getting close to finishing, and if he's like, oh, I'm going to try and force some units, but it's not roaches that don't have speed yet, it's a bunch of speedlings of +1, they'll kill all of that, actually, before a recall gets off. So
yeah, I don't even think he's seen the Evo Chamber just yet. He's moving in with the Hallucinating Phoenix, and he is going to spot out the Hydra Den, but the Evo Chamber and the Baneling Nest still going unscouted, I think.
Yeah. I love these types of builds. And Thunderbird is an interesting map in this regard because the 3 bases are actually quite easy to defend. But if you can find an opportunity to open up those mineral patches by the 3rd for Strange, then it starts to get a little bit easier. You start to open it up. And run-bys, I'm sure we'll be seeing run-bys as what's a trademark, I'm going to say good Zerg player thing. It's not just a Serral thing. All the best Zerg players, as the MMR increases for Zerg, so does the number of Zerglings that backstab while you try to move across the map.
Everyone becomes more like No Regret as they get better, right?
Yeah.
13 more drones being added on here. So Serral's not afraid about an immediate attack coming. He's got the Hydras coming up behind that. And he's got that Spire getting started up as well. And wow, triple hallucinated Phoenix. I've seen the double hallucinated Phoenix Scout. I've not seen the triple yet.
Do you think it was a mistake, or do you think he just realizes that force fields kind of suck as you go into a long game against Zerg?
You know what's kind of funny is that he actually did end up losing 2 of his hallucinating Phoenix. So maybe it was intentional, but I think it. I feel like it maybe was a mistake.
Yeah, if there was a Hydra or 2, certainly made it so that you were guaranteed to get the Scout in, or at least a little bit closer to guaranteed. Bunch of gateways are finishing up. Templar Archives and Charge is finishing. Thermal Lance is close to getting done. So it feels like there's some possibility for something to happen, but +2 attack starts and the Oracle goes out to tag. So it seems like he's just trying to play this one slow and methodically, try to build up to a big army. He's got the Colossi that we were discussing before. And that begs the question, since he's taking a 4th base, and this game looks very different than our last map on Acropolis, is he going to get a second robotics facility? Or is he going to make just an attack with +2 and like 3 Colossi? Because I don't think that'll work.
I wouldn't hate the second Robo, but I feel like this map is especially going to be hard to take that 4th base on. Like, you look at the last map, and he got cut off from his 4th base. That's how he ended up losing it. This map, it's such a wide open 4th base that even if you have your whole army there, Serral is going to have an even scarier army with a massive surround on you. So you have to be so careful about this engagement.
I think that's the most interesting thing about this map is by taking this base, yes, it's exposed. There's a giant arc available to hit it from, but it is also the only place that he can really attack without using a drop. And we say that there is going to be an Overlord. With Banelings, it looks like it's just going to be a mineral line drop, but because he didn't try to take that top base, there's still only one attack path to him because the minerals on the 3rd were never mined out. So this is the only place that Serral can attack without a drop or a Nidus. And then Stalker actually sees the Overlord. Very ace play, because then you just maybe put 1 or 2 on patrol to try and catch it, and then leave the rest of your army up front.
I was actually going to say I really want to compliment Strange on that, because he's actually had a couple of Stalkers both over here and also in the natural expansion just on patrol ready for Baneling drops. That's actually really, really clutch.
The Banes are still going to get in anyway. +2 at melee is not done, so he needs
Oh my god, he warped in to block the Banelings from rolling on in, and now the army comes forward. Oh god, he gets all of the sentries here. A couple of force fields are thrown down at the last second, locking in a couple of the Hydras, but there go all of the Colossus.
You know, we were talking about second Robo. He barely had any Colossi, like, to begin with in that fight.
Yeah.
That's the really hard part, is you're fighting in a huge wide open space. Your opponent can really only directly attack you in one position, but it doesn't matter.
Caustic Spray, the Nexus. That is not enough Stalker support.
Caustic is my favorite. Banelings are going to crash into this army with Hydralisks behind them, and they're looking pretty rough for Strange.
Yep. Banelings are going to come rolling on in. Wave number 2, they just go straight for the mineral line. The Immortals are actually surviving here because Serral did decide to pull back. But
yeah, well, the Nexus is dead.
Yeah.
There's +2 melee lings.
GG?
GG. Rippin' Pepperoni. Serral takes the first match 2-0 and moves on to the winner's match. To no one's surprise, we expect the world champion to bring great things, and a lot of people tried to talk him down at the start of the year, but once he kind of got back into the swing of things, he has been looking fantastic as we expect. Standard we hold him to.
Yeah, and I'm not going to fault Strange too much for that kind of match, just because it's, first of all, it's Serral. Second of all, I think Strange has already done a really awesome job by qualifying, because I know I felt like he was kind of missing from the scene for a little bit, not because he wasn't playing, but just because he wasn't quite doing as well as he was in the past, maybe like a year or so ago, but he's actually starting to do really well again, so I'm looking forward to seeing how he does actually in the rest of the group here.
Yep, I do believe that second place spot is wide open. Lambo probably a strong favorite for folks, but we're going to take a look at our remaining matches. So we talk about it. Serral goes up to the winner's match. Strange is going to fall down to the lower bracket match. But our next series is going to be a Terran versus Zerg. I love watching this Terran play. Clem is he's one of my favorites. That TVZ is coming up next. It's going to be Clem versus Lambo for series number 2 here at the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series. Hype. Hype, 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 hype.
This is the match I'm the most excited for right now. Clem has such an awesome and exciting playstyle, and Lambo, I think, is just a really, really smart player, so I'm going to see if he actually lets Clem play his game.
All right, that's coming up next. We'll see you after the break.